ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be reviewing area and perimeter. I'm going to go through a couple of questions you may see on IXL in the 6th grade section. We're going to take a look at some questions in FF1 talking about perimeter, FF3 area of triangles, FF5 area of quadrilaterals, FF9 area and perimeter problems, and FF10 compare area or perimeter of two triangles. You are welcome to fast forward through any of the sections if you feel comfortable with these kinds of questions, and just go to the ones where you feel like you may need some help with it. So let's get started. Let's look at some questions with FF1 talking about the perimeter. So here we have a triangle. We want to find the value of U, right? That's on the bottom there. And we're given the perimeter of 18. So know the sum of all the sides equals the perimeter. So when I add up 7 and 5/10 plus 4 and 5/10 plus U, it has to equal 18. I'm going to combine these like terms. 7 and 5/10 plus 4 and 5/10 is 12. And 12 plus U equals 18. We know 12 plus 6 equals 18. So that means U has to equal 6. Second question for perimeter. We're given this rectangle. We want to find the value of V. Again, we're told the perimeter is 32 feet, right? So I know this left-hand side is 9 feet. This side is also V. So our perimeter is the sum of all those sides. So we have 9 plus V plus 9 plus V. All of that equals 32, right? So now I'm going to combine like terms. 9 and 9 is 18. And V is 2V, right? So if we subtract 18 from both sides, that's the perimeter of the left side and the right side. That leaves us with 14 for both of those V's, the top V and the bottom V. So we're going to divide by 2 to figure out one of the V's, the length of one of the V's are, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. Right, so now if I substitute in 7, right, that side is still 9, 7 and 7. When we add up all four sides, the perimeter is 32 feet. All right, and our last perimeter problem here, we have a rectangle that has a perimeter of 269 and 2/10 kilometers and a base of 69 and 5/10 kilometers. We want to know what the height is. Right, so if I draw this out, here's our base, here's our height, and we're told the base is 69 and 5/10. And up here is 69 and 5/10. They're using the terms base and height instead of length and width. They're interchangeable though. And we know if we take away these two bases from the total perimeter, that'll leave us with the sum of the two heights. So 269 and 2/10, we're going to take away 69 and 5/10. And another 69 and 5/10, one for the top base, one for the bottom. If I add these two together first, that sum is 139. Oops. Right, so I'm taking away both the top and the bottom together. When I subtract those, we end up with 130 and 2/10 kilometers. And all of that is equal to both heights, height plus height, or two heights. Right, so to find how much one of those heights are, we're going to divide by 2. And when I divide by 2, h is equal to 65 and 1/10 kilometers. All right, on to questions with the area of the triangle, FF3. So we want to know what the area is of this triangle. Reminder, to find the area, it's 1/2 times the base times the height, or base times height divided by 2. I'm going to use base times height divided by 2. Our base is 5 and the height is 4. Remember, the base and height have to be perpendicular. They need a 90-degree angle between them. So we have 5 times 4 divided by 2. So that's 20 divided by 2, which is 10. So the area is 10 square miles. Our next one, we have a base of 6, and the height here is 10. Again, remember they need to be perpendicular to each other. So we have 6 times 10 divided by 2. So that's 60 divided by 2, which is 30. So the area of this triangle is 30 square feet. All right, on to FF5, area of quadrilaterals. So this section will have the area of squares, the area of rectangles, and the area of parallelograms. The area of a square is the side times the side, the area of a rectangle, length times width, and the area of a parallelogram, base times height. So we want to find what is the missing length for this parallelogram. Our base here is 7, and the height is A. And again, base and height have to be perpendicular to each other. They need a 90-degree angle. Right, so we're going to use this formula, area equals base times height, and we're going to substitute what we know in here. We know the area is 70, we know the base is 7, and we know the height is represented with the letter A. So to solve for A, we're going to divide both sides by 7. So that means A is equal to 10. So A is 10 kilometers. All right, that was the only question we're going to go through for FF5. Most of them are straightforward with squares and rectangles, but I did want to review the parallelogram with you. So let's move on to FF9, area and perimeter problems. So for all of these, you're going to be given two shapes that have either the same area or the same perimeter, and then you're going to be asked to find the perimeter or area or the dimensions of one of the figures. So let's take a look. The rectangles below have the same perimeter. So let's find the perimeter here with the information we're given in the red rectangle. 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 plus, oh, I labeled it wrong. My apologies. There should be an 8 on the opposite side and a 4 on the bottom. So 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 8 is 20, plus 4 is 24. So I know the perimeter is 24. All right, that means this brown rectangle also has to have a perimeter of 24. If the area of the brown rectangle is 35 square feet, what's its dimensions? Well, the only two numbers I can think of that multiply to 35, right? Remember, area is the length times the width, would be 7 and 5. And that gives us an area of 35. So now I just want to double check, will 7 plus 5 plus 5 add up to 24? Right, because we're saying these two sides are 7 and the top and bottom are 5. So 7 plus 7 is 14, 5 plus 5 is 10, and yes, that adds up to a perimeter of 24. So we have the dimensions of 7 and 5. Next question. The rectangles below have the same area. If the perimeter of the brown rectangle is 26, what are its dimensions? All right, well, I see 5 times 6 in the green rectangle. That gives it an area of 30. So that means this has to have an area of 30 as well. And we're looking for an area of 30, but a perimeter of 26. So I'm going to think of all the factors that multiply to 30. So we have, well, 6 and 5, 3 and 10, 2 and 15. We'll assume this is the length, that's the width. And to find the perimeter, we're going to add up another length and width with it. So let's see what this perimeter would be. I don't think they're the same. 11 plus 11 would give 22. That's not the 26 we're looking for. So 3 plus 10 plus 3 plus 10, that's 13 plus 13, which gives a perimeter of 26. So that works. I'm just going to prove that this bottom one does not work. 2 plus 15 plus 2 plus 15, that would be 34. That's not good either. So it looks like the dimensions here are 3 and 10. All right, next one here. The rectangles below have the same area. What's the perimeter of the orange rectangle? So 9 times 12 is an area of 108. Right, this is also 108. And to find this missing side here, the height or the width, whatever you want to call it, we're going to do 108 divided by 18 because this is our area, that's the length, When we divide it, it's going to give us the width. And 108 divided by 18 is 6. So that means that's 6. The bottom piece is 18, and the left side is also 6. To find the perimeter, we're going to add up all those pieces. 18 plus 6 plus 18 plus 6. Well, 18 plus 6 is 24. And then add another 24. That gives us a perimeter of 48. All right, we're on to the last section here. FF10, compare the area or perimeter of two figures. So we want to find the area of both of these and then compare the areas. So the area of this triangle is base times height divided by 2. That's 4 times 6 divided by 2, which is 24 divided by 2, or 12. So I know the area of this triangle is 12. To find the area of the trapezoid, if you remember the formula, it's base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. It's the average of the two bases. Remember, the bases have to be parallel. And then we're going to multiply it by the height. There's our height. There's base 1, base 2. All right, so let's plug in what we know. Base 1 is 2. Base 2 is 3. We're going to divide that by 2. And then multiply it by the height of 6. So that's 5 over 2 times 6. 5 over 2 is the same as 2.5, or 2.5 times 6. And 2.5 times 6, let's see, that's halfway between 2 times 6 and 3 times 6. That would be 15. So we have an area of 15 for the trapezoid. It has a greater area. So that means the trapezoid over here has a greater area. Next question, we're comparing a parallelogram and a triangle. So area of our parallelogram is base times height. So that's 8 times 4. So 8 times 4 is 32. So our area is 32 yards squared. And then over here for a triangle, remember it's base times height divided by 2. So I'm going to substitute in a base of 9 times a height of 6. Again, remember these are 90 degrees to each other. They're perpendicular, and then divided by 2. 9 times 6 is 54 divided by 2. And 54 divided by 2 is 27. And that would be yards squared. So our parallelogram here has a greater area because it's 32 compared to the 27. All right, we'll do one more here. One more with the trapezoid and one more with the triangle. So again, for the trapezoid, we have base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. That's the average of the bases times the height. So base 1 on the top, base 2 on the bottom, and there's the height. It's perpendicular. So 3 plus 10 divided by 2 times a height of 8. So that's 13 divided by 2 times 8. 13 divided by 2 is 6 5/10, or 6.5. We're going to multiply that by 8, and that product is 52. So the area here is 52 feet squared. And over here for our triangle, base times height divided by 2 would be 9 times 10 divided by 2. 10 is the base, 9 is the height. They're perpendicular to each other. That 9 times 10 is 90 divided by 2, and that equals 45 feet squared. So which one has a greater area? 52 is greater, so the trapezoid has a greater area. So I'm going to ask you to give these questions a try. You can use a calculator, and I will post that up in the instructions. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.